Thanks, Emma. I'm talking about the changes to the Act and also a little bit at the end about how much influence and power this jury has and where it can best have the greatest impact to create change. With the Act and the bill to change the Act, the themes behind it, I suppose, are requiring people to take responsibility for their dogs and cats, and I suppose these days, as with everything, we have to come up with ideas that aren't going to have a big new cost impact, resourcing impact to either state or local government. Firstly, with mandatory microchipping, you probably heard a little bit about it. I can't see this. I'll bring this up so it's bigger.
What do you need, notes or the slide?
Just so I can see the slide.
Well, do you want to stand out there and look back? Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Hang on.
Here we go.
No. No, that didn't work well. Yeah, I'll swap sides with you and you can keep your computer.
All right, mandatory microchipping, if I can have the slide. So I've got 5 minutes to do.
That's all right. Yeah, we won't start the clock yet.
Yeah, maybe go stand out there a bit more than you can see. And we can do this.
So we're trying to identify as many lost dogs and cats as possible, increase the chance of their return home, and reducing the numbers of pets in pounds and shelters and reduce the financial burden. As we've heard, AWL, RSPCA and lots of the other shelters are constantly full, and that has a cost for them, and if we can reduce the number of dogs and cats arriving there, then that's going to be a good thing. In terms of how that's proposed to roll out, in the bill that's out for public consultation at the moment, requiring all dogs and cats to be microchipped by a given age, exemptions if a vet advises that it's in the best interest of the dog. Now, the way that we've done that is we had a choice of whether it should be done at the point of sale or transfer, and that's an option, but in the end we landed on it should be done, the obligation should fall on the owner at that given age. So that might still be the breeder, they might have passed it on to a pet shop, it might be with the end purchaser of the dog or cat, but whoever the owner is at the age of the dog or cat, and we haven't settled on the age yet, but whatever that age is, then the owner has the obligation to microchip their dog or cat. There's an existing system in place, so we're trying really hard not to have an extra call on resources. What happens at the moment is each year when you go to renew your dog registration, if you present evidence to the council that your dog has been microchipped, it gets a discount, and in the future, with the annual renewal, particularly with dogs, the existing infrastructure is in place, so it's not going to require state government or local government to do anything. As I said right at the start, it's an obligation on the owner to microchip their cats and dogs, and when they go to renew at council level, particularly with dogs, then that will be the spur to make sure that everyone does the right thing. If they haven't microchipped their dog or cat at that stage, then they'll be prompted to go and do it, otherwise you might get an expiation notice. Breeder registration. A large, maybe a majority of the breeders in South Australia operate under the radar. Most people don't know where they are. By requiring each breeder to be registered, it allows councils to know which breeders in their area, can help the RSPCA identify and prosecute them in cases of animal cruelty, can help identify and close down puppy farms, which is a large area of community concern, and empower the purchasers. If there's an issue with a dog, dog or cat, they can follow up with the breeder, and consumers have a range of consumer rights under state and federal legislation, and by giving them the information to find out where the dog or cat came from, they can enforce their consumer rights. Again, it's a light-handed system. It's not going to cost a large amount of extra money, and the breeders will pay a small fee to administer to pay the cost of administering a new database. light-handed scheme, but it's going to now allow those organisations to exist a whole range of existing laws. So that's a good thing. Anyone who sells a dog or cat will need to register. It's casting the net fairly widely. Consumers will be able to search the database. I'm going to try and rip through these actually, and you can ask questions later. I'll go down to the next slide. Enforcement, and that's come up quite a lot. We are creating clearer powers for council officers, making them consistent with the ranges of other acts that they enforce, increasing range of fines and penalties, and in some cases new ability to expiate for continuing offences if a person does the wrong thing again and again. And at the moment, councils in a lot of cases have to prosecute through the courts, and that's time and resource intensive. By allowing expiations, it's going to allow a lot more offences to be actively enforced. Mandatory desexing, I've just got 2 quick slides on this. You can see here a graph. You've probably heard similar evidence from others saying that one cat 9 years later could be responsible for 11 million cats if they're left unchecked to do their way. So that's why our shelters are flooded with unwanted cats. Next one. Yep. And you'll hear from Katina later on, but there's a clear link in the research between desexing on the one hand and tendency to wander and aggression rates. The number of dog attacks, emergency department presentations, hospital admissions from dog attacks in the last couple of years has been steadily rising. If the number of dogs desexed rises from the amount it is at the moment, 50 or 60% to say 80%, the evidence is that that will lead to a large drop in the number of dog attacks at a statewide level. Next. This is just a bit about who's supporting and who's not. First of all, resources again. There's a range of options which don't necessarily require resourcing. So if the obligation falls on the breeder to have the dog or cat desexed by the point of sale or transfer, or the obligation falls on the owner at a given point in time, as we've done with microchipping, then it doesn't require a large amount of new cash to create a new scheme. And there will be some money. I mean, our board has earmarked funds for education campaigns and training of council officers and so on. Unlike the ACT, where they don't have local council and they didn't put any resources on the field, and they didn't put any money into education, we do have 68 councils, each with animal management officers, and I suppose an existing army of people out there, people at the front counter of councils who accept dog registration fees each year, and so we do have the infrastructure in place to deal with this. We've got support from a wide range of the key stakeholders who are listed up there. Dogs SA do support it with conditions. The Australian Veterinary Association aren't supporting of it. However, a large amount of vets within that organisation do. It's just the official policy of the organisation at this stage.
Why is that?
Well, it's not really my place to say.
We can ask Graham. Graham will be here next week.
He might be here today.
Is he coming today? Yeah. Okay.
We'll point Graham out to you. I'll tell him he's absurd.
No, he's not. He's not.
He's not silly.
Okay. You've been done. You've been dinged.
Right. This is I think my last slide anyway. The jury. You've got the minister who is committed to this process, and he's basically said, I'm really keen on your verdict on mandatory desexing, and if you make a verdict on that issue, he is highly likely to take that forward and argue for that within the forums within government. Anything to do with the Dog and Cat Management Act, and I've just been talking about some of the changes, that act is going to be debated in Parliament probably later this year, so there's a real chance of verdict recommendations relating to that area making a difference, changing the law, coming into play in South Australia within the next few months. Now, the Minister hasn't asked you to look at other things outside the remit, but if there are recommendations within his ministerial portfolio areas, it's something which he's got the capacity to say to his officers in other areas, please have a look at this, this is worthy of consideration, please give me an answer. And when those acts that he administers, such as the Animal Welfare Act, the Natural Resource and Management Act and so on, and environment type issues are debated, the jury's verdict on those things could be considered as well. The chance of the jury influencing change diminishes as you spread out from that area. Other ministers haven't bought into the process, so I know that the jury is interested in tenancy laws, and we've tried to bring in someone from Minister Gago's portfolio area to consider those issues, but with that possible exception, the ability to make a recommendation to another minister, there's less likely a chance of that being treated with the same high degree of respect and consideration that our minister will on this particular issue. And just lastly, on state-federal agreements, I know someone came up with what I think is an excellent suggestion of having a national database. And lots of people in councils would think that would be terrific as well. But again, a recommendation from this jury, the ability to impact on state-federal relationships is small, and it's probably years, decades away from happening. So I just wanted to sort of put that in context to say that if you wanted to achieve change, there are ways where you've got a really high chance of achieving change, and as we dissipate out from that key area, the chances of achieving influence diminish, if that's a fair explanation.